Okay, I'm going to start reading. I'm super excited. Lots of you are probably viewing this in the recording, and that is totally fine. Hopefully, you guys are staying up to date. I just am obsessed with this book. It's so good. So, we are on chapter 9, and it is day 4 on the island. Remember, they just saw Will's footprints in the ground. So, they're like, oh snap, he's got to be alive. So, it is day 4, 2:40 in the afternoon. He's alive, Luke exclaimed with relief. He cupped his hands to his mouth. Will! Will! Charla grabbed his arm. Not so loud, she warned. There are killers on the island. There's another reason we have to find them, Luke retorted. Before they do. They listened breathlessly. Birds singing, chirping of insects. Come on, Will, called Luke, a little lower this time. We know you're out there. Nothing. And then, barely audible amid the voices of the jungle, a far-off human voice. It's coming from over there, chorused the 3 castaways. They regarded one another in dismay. They were pointing in 3 different directions. Luke checked the sneaker print. It was heading to their left. This way, he started off, leading the others. It was pure guesswork, Luke thought. Any other footprints were covered by heavy underbrush. In his mind, he kept an image of the direction of Will's sneakers tread and tried to follow it like a compass needle. Not that it was possible to stay on course in this tangle of greenery, but when you have only one clue, you have to follow it. Please, Will, Charla tried to make her quiet voice carry. They trudged on, searching for any sign of human life. A broken branch, a trampled fern, a torn vine, but nothing stood out. And then Ian found another footprint. You're right, exclaimed Charla. 2 of them, she started. Uh-oh. What's wrong? Asked Luke. If this is Will, she said slowly. He's got 2 different sized feet. Ian knelt. And 2 different shoes. He looked at Luke. This is 2 people. Luke drew in his breath sharply. Are you sure? Charla began to tremble. The men from the plane, she breathed. It's not Will, it's them. Ian frowned. But what are they doing all the way over here? I don't care if they're on an Easter egg hunt, put in Luke. We've got to get out of here before they come back. And then, just the tiniest crack. They froze and listened. It was a swishing and snapping of people walking through the jungle. Luke mouthed the words, get down! And the 3 dropped, trying to disappear into the dense underbrush. The swinging was louder now. The men were close. Luke tried to catch a glimpse of them, but he didn't dare move for fear of being spotted. Where were they? Since there was no trail, it was impossible to predict the path someone might take. Suddenly, a flash of red shirt. Luke's breath caught in his throat. Just a few feet away, the killers were walking straight for them. It was too late to run. Luke rolled to his right in desperate attempt to avoid the stepping foot. Horrified, he felt the sneaker catch him on the shoulder. Hey, came a voice from above. A split second later, the figure was trembling into the brush behind him. The jig was up. They were caught. Luke didn't think. He just reacted. In a single motion, he grabbed a rock, jumped upright, aiming at the back of the intruder's blonde head. One move and you're dead, he hissed. Yes. Yeah, except for do it on that one and then sit over by the blue chair. Okay. Ian picked up the sunglasses that had fallen from the prisoner as he tripped. Oh wait, did I just skip a page? Sorry. No, one move and you're dead, he hissed. Ian picked up the sunglasses that had fallen off the prisoner as he tripped. They were strangely familiar, sleek and silver, designer frames. He flashed Luke an earpiece. On it was engraved Jonathan Lane, the Toast of London. P.S. Luke's eyes bulged. These glasses belonged to JJ, their shipmate from the Phoenix. There was no mistaking them. They were one of a kind, originally given to JJ's father, movie star Jonathan Lane by Paul Smith, the fashion designer. Luke dropped the rock. JJ, he barely whispered. The actor's son rolled over. Luke, you're alive, cried Charla, throwing herself at JJ in a joyous embrace. Ian piled on. Luke was slapping back shoulders, any surface he could get a hand on. All at once, he stopped celebrating, and grabbed JJ by the shirt. Liza, relax. And then a familiar voice said, do you think these are like, real bananas? Liza Greenfield stepped into view, a bunch of finger bananas in her arms. She gaped at four of them rolling under the bush, drumstick and grappled for words. But you're dead, she gasped finally. You're dead, Luke shot back, laughing in relief. Man, what happened to you guys? Asked JJ. You look like coal miners. It took Liza a few seconds to do a head count and realize who was missing. Where's my brother? Don't panic, Charlie said quickly. He's not dead. At least he wasn't 3 days ago. Why isn't she with you? He demanded. Her voice was shrill. He ran away from us, Luke explained. He doesn't remember us. He doesn't remember the trip. He thinks he's lost in Guam and it's all our fault. She was shocked. He's gone crazy? Amnesia, Ian supplied. He lost his memory? Just the last couple of weeks of it, Luke replied. He remembers you. He kept asking us, what have you done to my sister? Almost like we kidnapped you or something. He thinks the Phoenix is marooned at the marina around here, and he has to get to you to report to charting a new course. Okay, so let's all take a pause here. Oh, snap. JJ and Liza are alive. Woo, woo. How'd they get to the island, too? I have no idea, but the point is they're alive. Praise the Lord. Poor Liza's been stuck with crazy JJ this whole time. I saw a show about it once, added Ian. It's called Paranoid Delusion. We've got to find him, Liza said urgently. I can make him remember. Charlotte put a reassuring arm around her shoulder. We'll keep looking, but it's hard to find someone who doesn't want to be found. Liza blinked back tears. But you haven't seen him in 3 days. He could be dead. Or he could just be avoiding us, Luke pointed out. That would be good news. It means he's alive and alert. Can he really survive all by himself on this island? She added dubiously. Luke spread his arms wide. Can we? He has what we have, which is pretty much nothing. Except the supplies on the lifeboat, put in JJ. Lifeboat? Charlotte repeated. The inflatable raft, JJ explained. That's how we got away when the boat sank. It's still in the little cove where we washed ashore. We've been living in it. How did you guys get here? Asked Liza. On a piece of cabin top the size of a postage stamp, Charlotte explained. One of us had to hang over the side or we'd capsize. You were lucky. Okay, so JJ and Liza go them. They got on the inflatable raft that JJ accidentally opened. So they didn't even have to float on a piece of cabin top. They were on an inflatable raft and made it to the island. So all the kids are alive. That makes me feel so much better. Hey, the actor's son interrupted sharply. I could be in LA right now, surrounded by fast cars, hot tubs, chicks, chicks, chicks. Don't lecture me how I haven't suffered enough. No fighting, ordered Luke. We're all in this together, right? We're scared, we're worried about Will, and we're all sick of coconuts and bananas. JJ and Liza looked completely blank. Maybe you've been eating Durans, put in Ian. They're hungry, not crazy, Charla mumbled distastefully. We've been eating what's in the boat, said Liza. You know, the freeze-dried survival meals. Chicken and mashed potatoes, beef stew chili. What the heck? They've been having freaking chili and they've been eating nothing but coconuts? Luke looked so generally ravenous that even Liza had to laugh. Put your tongue back in your head. We've only got one left, mac and cheese. That's why we're out in the jungle looking for food. I love mac and cheese, piped in Ian. His face fell, but I guess we should save it for a special occasion. JJ stared at him. Special occasion? We're in the middle of nowhere. Remember nowhere? We were on a boat? Well, that was a Sunset Strip compared to here. What special occasion are we going to have? National cockroach the size of a Volkswagen Day? Luke was thoughtful. How about raft moving day? The lifeboat is too easy to spot out on the beach. We should move it to the cover of the trees. We've spotted, but being spotted is the whole point, argued Liza. How are we going to get rescued if nobody can see us? Solemnly, Luke filled in the newcomers about the murder they witnessed and the body that washed up on the beach. It's a real jam, he finished. If rescuers don't find us, we'll die here. But if we make ourselves visible enough to get rescued, these guys will spot us and they'll kill us. Will, Liza said nervously, they'd kill him too, and he probably doesn't even know they're out there. JJ spoke in. Doesn't anybody else think this is kind of fishy? The boat sinks, we're stranded, murder's on the island. I mean, whose luck is this bad? It even happens to rich people, Charla told him resentfully. It's fake, JJ scoffed. I say we're still on charting a new course, and all this happened to us on purpose. The boat sank because it was supposed to sink. You know, a trick boat. Special effects guys who work on my dad's movies, they could rig something like that in a heartbeat. Everybody groaned. This had been JJ's theory from the beginning. Okay, JJ's still thinking that this is all pretend. He's literally crazy. He's thinking this is pretend, like someone is forcing this to happen to them. I don't think any human in their right mind would make children survive off of bananas, okay? And see a murder. That's crazy. The whole point of the trip is to make us forget what a bunch of losers we are and force us to work as a team, he went on. Well, it's happening. These so-called criminals, they can be actors hired by CNC. They're just another test for us, and we're falling for it, man. We're performing like a bunch of trained seals. You're disgusting, JJ Lane, Liza snapped at him. My poor brother could be dying this minute. And that's even more evidence I'm right, JJ interrupted. Will got a little too messed up, so they stepped in and scooped him out of the game. He's probably watching us on hidden cameras right now, eating a steak and laughing his butt off. That was a real murder we saw, Luke said, and it's definitely a real dead body. JJ shrugged. When my dad was doing this horror flick, he once brought home a fake disembodied hand from the prop room. It looked so real that my stepmom, number 3, she practically had a heart attack. You know, it doesn't almost matter, Ian said thoughtfully. Whether it's set up or not, we're still shipwrecked and we still have to survive. Except CNC won't let us die, JJ reminded him. There are exactly 2 reasons why we're not dead, Luke said grimly. Dumb luck and coconuts. And luck ran out when the plane landed. It doesn't get any scarier than this. Oh my goodness. This is just so much. I'm so glad everyone's alive, though. Praise the Lord. That's a good thing. Well, except for Will. We don't know about him. All right, we're going to read one more chapter. Chapter 10, day 4, 5:25 p.m. Voices. Will reacted immediately. He snatched up his bow and handful of arrows. He could hear the whish and crackle of legs making their way through heavy underbrush. They were coming to get him. They were close. He made a move to put out the campfire and froze. The fire was the only thing that kept the bugs away at night. His mosquito bite bodysuit was starting to recede. The churning itch had become almost bearable. He could even open his eyes all the way now, although the silvery mist was still there and the headaches were worse than ever. How could he willingly feed himself to hungry insects? There must be some way. He jammed the arrow back in his pocket and slung the bow over his shoulder. Then he picked up the sturdy twig and held it to the fire. The voices were getting louder. From the babble, he found out a single word: Phoenix. They were talking about the boat. His new torch blazing in his hands, he stomped out the fire and kicked a mass of vines and dead leaves to cover the evidence. Then he squeezed himself into the dense strand of ferns and peered out. It was the little kid, the one that called himself Ian. His comparison was a tall blonde boy His companion was a tall blonde boy Will hadn't seen before. The newcomer was laughing. I swam to the life raft and climbed inside, and then it hits me. I forgot to untie the line. The boat's sinking and I'm still attached to it. So I'm hanging over the side trying to chew that rope with my teeth, which wasn't easy because it's on fire. Will frowned. More lies about the shipwreck. Why did they tell them to each other? He froze. Did they suspect he was listening? That made no sense. They'd come to get him if they knew where he was. Why were they talking about a disaster that never happened? Wasn't there a knife in the survival kit? Ian was asking him. Yeah, but who's got time to look for it? The older boy explained. I'm chewing for my life here. Then the phoenix starts down and I'm thinking, that's it. I'm dead. And poof, the rope burns through and I'm free. These CNC guys, when they scare you, they don't mess around. So right now, JJ and Ian are having a conversation and Will is listening. It seems pretty far-fetched that they could be behind all this, said Ian. You'll see. We're wasting our time. Will's not on this island anymore. He's probably in some hotel room living large. Hotel room? What are they talking about? As Will watched the blonde boy in a flash, he knew with absolute certainty something he couldn't possibly have known. It was a message engraved on the side of the earpiece of the kid's sunglasses. The toast of London. The toast of London? He was taken aback. Where would he get the crazy idea like that? This was a total stranger, and yet the feeling was so vivid, Will could almost see the words imprinted into the fancy metal. Impossible. And yet, it wouldn't be the weirdest thing that had happened to him in the last few days. Was he losing his mind? And then he heard the words that had been very much in his thoughts lately. Liza. Yeah, she's already in the water when I found her, the blonde was saying. I'm not sure how she got there. We'll ask her. Ask her, Will stiffened like a pointer. They knew where she was. He struggled to force his sluggish mind to reason it out. He couldn't let them get away. He had to attack. There were 2 of them. But he had his bow and arrow. He would squeeze his sister's whereabouts out of them if it was the last thing he did. If they wouldn't talk, he'd, shoot them? He'd never have the guts. He trembled the bow string with his free hands. Yes, I would. This is life and death. I shot the boar and I'll shoot them. The 2 boys were no more than 20 feet away. Will preparing himself to spring, they would never got any closer than this. The moment passed. Will squinted at their receding backs. He took no action. There was a better way. All right, we're going to stop there. So, Will's still crazy, but JJ and Liza have appeared. Thank you for listening. If you're watching the recording, woot woot. I will see you guys later. Reading is at 11:10. Okay?